All right, everybody, welcome to the breakdown. We're back. We got the whole crew back together this week. So good to see everyone. I'm Jeff Messer, and over there, or there is Kat and Jack as well. There's Kat.
Hi guys, I'm here this week.
What's happening? Jack rocking the Heroes Con shirt.
That's
Nice.
right.
Good job. Good job. Our good friends at Heroes Con. You know, they got a thing coming up called a pop swap. Have you guys ever heard of the pop swaps?
Yes.
Nope.
So are they like trading cards? Do you trade those things now? Is that
So what happens is you take your pops, the pop figures, everybody knows the Funko Pop ones.
Oh,
Yeah, and then you take the ones that you're like, I got it, but I don't really want it, and then trade with people. Somebody might actually want it. I do not go there because I have over 300 pops, and they're all very significant to me.
I don't think I have any pops close by.
No, my pops are all up on shelves and stuff. But yeah, I have over 300, and I get specific ones. So
Okay, what do you get? What do you collect?
let's see. I have right above me. I have Pac-Man. So I have Pac-Man, all the ghosts, Miss Pac-Man, and a blue ghost. I have all the Harry Potters. I have Powerpuff Girls. I have Justice League versus Avengers in my living room. I have Tinkerbell ones. I've got custom made ones. I've got 300 over 300.
Oh, wow. Well, if you're interested in swapping them, October 26th from 10 until 6 is the 9th annual Pop Swap at Heroes Aren't Hard to Find in Charlotte. So head on down.
Pop Swap.
Pop Swap. It's very alliterative. It's very perfect. I don't have enough pops to swap. But I tell you, there's some really cool ones. I mean, if they came out with, but I hate this because the cons will do like exclusives, like San Diego.
I do have a couple of exclusives.
I mean, I would get an Indiana Jones pop. I would get. They've got some really cool James Bond pops that are out there too.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm not going to pay the premiums. I'm not going to pay ridiculous.
No,
prices.
my San Diego Comic-Con one is Slimer from Ghostbusters, but he's glow in the dark. And then I have metallic Ninja Turtles and metallic Minions. Those are also San Diego Comic-Con exclusives.
She has 300.
300 pops.
I have over.
He's going to list them all. Yes.
Yeah. Well, those are the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive ones. So.
I'm not gonna lie. I've either gotten them as gifts or when I find them on sale at Target. If there's like a couple on clearance, I'll grab them. Some of my favorites that I've seen, I don't know if you guys have seen these, but it's like the 8-bit version of something.
Yes,
right.
I have. I have an 8-bit one somewhere around here. I've got.
I love that you have your green screen, right? And then you keep looking around. Because with the green screen, it seems like you're in a very tiny space. But as you keep looking around and talking about stuff, it seems like you're in a really big room, actually.
I am. I actually am in a big room.
If we planned ahead, we would be animating things behind her right now.
Totally animate. But maybe for a breakdown, I'll do an exclusive video of all my pops. Maybe.
There we go.
The longest episode ever.
It'll be we'll edit it. I'll edit it.
Let's see. 300. Even at like 30 seconds a piece, that's 150 minutes. Doing all the pops, right?
That should be part of it. Is you have to do all of them, but you get 5 minutes.
I get 5.
Wow! It's like
I think I could do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I got this one. I got this one.
It's like scan across and like film really quickly. They're all organized, so there you go.
They are all organized. Although when my husband kind of cut me off because I was losing my shit with them. We counted them, and I actually missed about 7 of them. So that's when we discovered that I was way over the 300 mark.
Is 300 the limit? Is that the cutoff? You can only have 300?
No, I cannot buy them all at once is the problem.
Right.
So the collection of Harry Potter.
All, you're talking about all pops ever? Or
no, so the collection of Harry Potter all came out at once. And I had the cart filled all at once. And he was like, how about we do this paycheck to paycheck? Because we're going to not be able to pay the house if you buy them all at once.
The entire collection, right.
Yeah, so it's more like sections.
We may need, I think there's actually a breakdown episode right there. Is people talking about their significant others,
Oh,
because
gosh.
you have to admit, if
tolerance.
you're a collector, it doesn't matter what it is, really.
Yeah, it's bad.
You better be with the right person, because they have to
Right,
be very accepting of
yeah.
your obsession. You know,
No,
You gotta have a high tolerance for sure.
he is accepting. He just wants it done paycheck by paycheck instead of not being able to pay the house bill because I spent it all on Pops.
I can just picture you like down at the water department trying to pay a bill or something, like, do you know what this one's worth? I'm paying twice what I owe you. You're getting a great deal.
Like, you don't understand. Yeah, like, it's horrible. Like, I do.
All right, here's a fan question for people out there. Are Pops just the modern day Beanie Babies?
I knew
Really?
you were going to say that.
Is that what we're looking at here? The Beanie Babies for nerds, right?
Yeah,
100% yes.
Weren't they for nerds to start with? Like,
well, they were more for like, the ceramic collectors and stuff. Yeah, the shut-in,
yeah. And they were all named, and they were all together, and they all had personalities, and it's like those it's like those people who get the life realistic baby dolls,
those things,
and then like take an empty room in their house and make it look like there's permanently a baby asleep in that room.
Yep, he's right. Yeah. Jeff 100% nailed it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can get on to us about Pops or comics or any of that stuff, especially because there's some weird collectors out there. Just gotta say.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have a room full of skulls.
Never heard of it before. Speaking of collectors and collecting, Jack, I know you went to the comic store today. Anything good? Anything good out there? Anything good?
Oh my God.
J.J. Abrams and his son are writing a brand new Spider-Man series.
I did hear about that.
I was actually looking for, and I know I got one, but I can't seem to put my hands on it. There's a free sneak peek. They put out a free sneak peek, so it's all the black and white sketches of the J.J. Abrams Spider-Man comic.
Oh wow!
Go to your local shop and get it, because when I was at mine, they were like, "Oh yeah, every shop got like a huge box of them." It was really interesting because none of the dialogue or bubbles are in, so you're just kind of constantly like looking at it, going, "Ooh, I bet they're gonna say this." And
interesting.
But not to heart. I mean, obviously the House of X is kind of the big thing right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so this bad boy, which it's Apocalypse. I personally love Apocalypse. I know you're not supposed to root for the bad guy, but I kind of always do. So this is House of X number 5. That's the actual A cover, is my understanding. This is the connecting cover. So there's connecting covers with each house and power of X.
Right.
This one should raise some questions immediately if you think it has anything to do with the story, for lots of reasons besides their skimpy outfits. And one of the variants I had to get, because I love my villains, is Senor Magneto here. And I feel like I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to give away big stuff if you're currently reading and you haven't gotten to it, but I feel like it's been long enough since House of X, which it would have been number 4, where we had some pretty major developments. So quick, spoiler alert, if you haven't read it yet, plug your ears for a second, but Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Cyclops, Angel, and Jean Grey, and I think I'm forgetting somebody, they all died.
Right.
And not in a this could be a dream or this could be fake or whatever. This was very much they died.
Right.
Pretty brutally, if I'm being honest. So I am going to throw something up there. So this is sort of your last warning. Spoiler alert here, but this is from House of X. As you can see in that first top left panel, Nightcrawler transports them onto this mother mold, and they're out in space, and instantly you can see Nightcrawler there on the left just totally vaporizes. Right. And Wolverine is like down to his skeleton almost instantly. And then as these panels continue, he's actually slashing as he's being burned down and melted down to his skeleton. slashing away at these sort of connecting pieces that keep the mother mold head in place. And if he can get it to separate, then the mother mold head will like float into the sun and burn up. So it was tragic. I mean, it wasn't done as like a surprise they died. They knew what was about to happen. Basically, they realized that this was the only way they're going to be able to stop it. And here's the first panel right before. They know they're about to do it, and Wolverine turns to Nightcrawler and basically asks him, like, you still believe in heaven, you still believe in God, and we're about to die. And I think Wolverine says something like, I'm just a little curious what might be waiting for me on the other side. And Nightcrawler like looks him in the eye and he says, when you wake from this earthly slumber, my friend, look for me. I will be there waiting for you. And in the next panel it says, radiant and with open arms. And that's the end of those two guys.
Until the next time, until they get better.
Right. And that's, I don't want to go into anything or give anything away, but obviously in this next issue, that's the first thing everyone was like, what's going to happen in this issue? Are they going to get a hint or something? But with that in mind, this isn't the only big tragedy recently, right? Like DC has some big death on the way.
Well, I mean, they had the big Heroes in Crisis series, which killed a bunch of supporting characters recently. I mean, they're always killing somebody off for good, and it never lasts. Of course, it never lasts. I'm trying to think if anybody's on the chopping block immediately. I know the Doomsday Clock issue 12, when that pops up, we'll see. We'll see where the Doomsday Clock has now come out so much later than they expected that it no longer has any relevance, or if it actually does redefine the DC universe as we know it. So,
Right.
we'll see what happens. I picked up a couple of interesting things as well. I was behind on this series, but Jack, you may appreciate this. This is the history of the Marvel universe.
Oh yeah.
Issues 1 and issue 2, both are out. And this is very interesting. It's Mark Waid is writing it. It's not your typical comic book per se. It's more kind of just telling the entire history, well, as it says on the Truth in Advertising, the history of the Marvel Universe from beginning all the way down toward the end. 2 issues into it, they've just introduced the Fantastic Four at the end of it, and they seem to be going through things chronologically. We get Captain America in World War II, and all of those things. So I'm interested to see what bearing this has on everything else that's going on over at Marvel at the moment. But it's an interesting book. I think I'm enjoying it so far. We'll see. And another book that I'm really enjoying is a little mini series they've got going called The Invisible Woman, spinoff from the Fantastic Four. Great covers by Adam Hughes. Fan favorite Adam Hughes doing that. This is like the
is that issue 1?
This is issue 3, is the one that just came out. It's the Invisible Woman going out on espionage kind of cases with Black Widow and some other characters joining in as well. So it's a little like super spy, female super spy sort of thing. But also in this issue, there's a little advert about something that's coming, the lead up to Star Wars. The new Star Wars movie. There's going to be a Marvel series that's going to kind of lead us up to it with the events that are bridging the gap between episodes 8 and episodes 9. So Marvel continuing its big Star Wars thing, and including they're going to reissue a facsimile edition of Star Wars #1 from 1977, which came out 6 weeks before the movie came out. So if you were a comic book fan, you read all the way up through Luke Skywalker getting attacked by the Tusken Raider in comic book form before you saw the movie.
Okay,
so that's one of those facsimile editions. So it's an exact replica of the issue as it appeared in 1977.
So let me ask you something. Just sort of getting your best guess, I would say.
Okay.
Do you think this is going to lead to that first Star Wars issue value going up? This one.
The issue number one of Star Wars. There are several versions of that out there. That one that you're showing is the 30-cent cover version, and that one I believe is the most plentiful version of it that's out there. There is a 35-cent issue number one that is more rare, that's worth more money, and then all of the reprints, because it went into multiple printings, all of the reprints, which have a little reprint typed in the corner next to Luke Skywalker's little image up there in the corner box. The reprints not worth as much as the other. It's weird. There's a whole system of different types of books that came out, issues 1 through 6. Multiple versions of all those, but the one that you're showing there is pretty valuable as it stands, but not as valuable as the 35-cent version that came out after that. So I don't know why exactly, but that just is the way it fell. But those books are already worth quite a bit. A couple of years ago, I was going to a con, and the artist who drew it, Howard Chaykin, was one of his first big pieces of work with one of the major companies was drawing Star Wars. He's well known to be a grouch, and he hates the Star Wars comic because he hates his artwork in it. So if you show up at a table with one, he says kind of nasty things about it because he can't stand looking at his artwork from 1977.
I can't find the 30. I was just Googling real quick to see if I could find the 35-cent version you're talking about, and I can't find it. So it must be pretty rare.
They're tough to find. The non-reprint version. You have to look in the corner and see if it says reprint on the cover, because those are out there. And I've looked too. When I was going to see Howard Chaykin a couple of years ago, I went on eBay specifically looking for really good condition versions of it, because I was like 6 years old when I got that comic. And I've got it still, and the reprint edition, unfortunately, and the cover's falling off. It's well worn because I read the crap out of it. So I was like, I'm going to meet Howard Chaykin. I'm going to get a really, really nice copy of this. And the 30-cent one, I saw copies for like $100, $150 in various conditions.
Okay, so I did find the 35-cent version. It doesn't actually look that different.
No. The box. Look at the box in the corner. The 35-cent one is more of a diamond shape around the price as opposed to a rectangle box.
Yeah, sort of. It's funny because Google, I found nothing. But if you go to eBay, the 35-cent copy, boom, it pops up. And I'm telling you right now, actually, you know what? I can do this. So I'll do a screen share. But you can see that it. This is news to me, actually. I love these things. I love it when I haven't heard of something. But this is $520 for the 35-cent version. Yeah. 4,900, 5,999. I love it when people put 4,999.99.
You're saving that penny. That penny makes a difference.
Yeah. Well, and it looks like those are graded and they're put in the slabs, as they call them. So they're jacking the price on that, but those look like they're pretty high grade copies too.
So should we bid? Should we bid?
Yeah.
Like a penny? Do you think they'll?
Let's go buy some lottery tickets. Hey, no, if I were to go buy lottery tickets and hit the lottery, I would buy one of those in a heartbeat.
Really?
That would be one of my my wish list check off the bucket list books. It is because that book, Marvel got the license to this movie that nobody thought was going to be successful. George Lucas had a hard time selling it to a film company. Alan Ladd Jr. at 20th Century Fox had enough faith in him, but Lucas had to actually surrender some of his director's fees in order to do reshoots at the end. And he held on to the merchandising rights, which Fox thought, oh, you stupid, stupid man, you can have all the merchandising you want instead of us paying you. Paying you your full salary. Well, I think he had the last laugh, but at the same time, Marvel was not in great shape at this point in time in the 70s as a company. This was one of those down periods for Marvel. This is before Chris Claremont and the X-Men really resurged in the late 70s, early 80s. This was a time when Marvel was kind of lost at sea. They had the license to Tarzan and Conan, and they were just, they couldn't figure out what their identity was, so they got the license to Star Wars, and it was so popular, this book. That's why they had to go into reprints. They didn't print enough, and so they had to print other editions of it just to satisfy the fan demand that was out there. And as a result, it revitalized Marvel. It kind of saved them in a definite financially kind of negative period for them. And Star Wars is one of those. Star Wars #1 is one of those books that not only is it based on a movie that redefined cinema, it redefined Marvel Comics in the 70s and really saved them and turned them around and helped them out in a big way. So it's a very pivotal book, and Marvel's putting it back out again in the facsimile edition, which I think is pretty awesome. So,
well, I will tell people if you're thinking about it, I would go ahead and get it now then, right? Like, go get yourself a copy. At least the regular 30-cent #1. I've seen them in shops.
Yeah.
Not this year, but in my life I've seen them. You $15-$20 or something. Now on eBay, it's like starting at $22-$25, going up to $50 pretty fast.
Right.
So word's getting out. If you can find one even for $10, I would probably go ahead and buy it. It sounds like that's a good investment.
Yeah, and the low end on that, it's not going to be in great condition. But if you're at a con too, you can ask most dealers who have older books at their table. Guarantee you, those dealers are going to be sporting a couple of copies, whether it's up on the wall behind them or it's in a box under the table. If you ask, they'll have Star Wars #1. It's that important of a book. So I think it's really cool. I'm looking forward to getting the facsimile edition. I have not opened the issue that I have since sometime in the 1980s, probably. So it's been bagged ever since. And not that it matters because it's a piece of shit copy. So I mean, it really is. It's wrecked. It's in horrible shape. Some of the later issues are super valuable too, like the first Boba Fett appearance.
Oh yeah.
I've got a really good copy of that. The final issue 107, is actually a high dollar book because by the time the series ended, it had such a low print run that Marvel wasn't putting that many out there. And so that one's hard to find in really good condition as well. There's like 5 or 6 of those Star Wars issues from Marvel that are like pretty major books.
Really valuable.
Collection. Yeah. So anyway, so that's it. Good comics. Good comic talk. Yes. JJ, speaking of JJ Abrams and Spider-Man and Star Wars, this all ties together, right? So JJ Abrams and his son are co-writing Spider-Man #1, just came out today.
Right.
But the big news with JJ Abrams is that it looks like JJ Abrams and James Gunn are both taking up shop at Warner's and maybe taking over the DC universe if rumors are to be believed. So what would it look like if J.J. Abrams were to take over the DC characters? Is kind of what everybody is sitting there thinking right now. So what do you guys think? It's a lot of buzz that's out there, and I've heard both J.J. He signed a huge deal with Warner's. So why would they get into the Warner's camp unless they wanted him on a high-profile type movie projects? And these comic book projects are those high-profile projects. He's there. He's got a deal. Bad Robot is at Warner's. James Gunn's Suicide Squad is coming out. Right. A lot of buzz behind that, but he's going to go back and do Guardians 3 at Marvel.
Right.
But
so that's one of those things. I've heard a couple people recently just chit-chatting about this. And one of the things that kind of keeps coming up is they're like, DC, I'm not hating on DC. Like, I even have my Batman glass today. But movie-wise, other than animated stuff, the DC movies have usually fallen pretty short of really good storytelling and character development. Great effects.
Only in the modern era with Marvel to compare it to. You have to keep in mind that the Chris Nolan. I mean, I still think that Batman Returns is one of the best Batman movies of all time, and that came out in 2005. So
Batman Returns means Dark Knight.
Dark Knight, yeah. Batman Returns.
No. Batman Returns is the one with the Scarecrow. I mean, Dark Knight is great.
That's Begins. That's Batman Begins.
Batman Begins. Yeah, sorry, Batman Begins.
No, but this is the thing that I think keeps coming up is that a lot of people, and myself included, if you say DC movies, nobody thinks of the Christopher Nolan trilogy
right,
as
because it predated much of what we have now as the modern sensibility.
Right.
But I mean, DC was out there kind of doing it bigger and better while Sony was still trying to figure out what to do with Spider-Man, and Fox was trying to figure out what to do with the Fantastic Four and X-Men.
What do you do with Spider-Man? He's just one of the most popular characters ever.
But still, and they still don't know what to do with Spider-Man. They can't quite figure that out. But no, I mean, you have to remember that The Dark Knight came out 2 months after the first Iron Man movie came out.
Right.
2008. So, they were already well underway when Marvel was just starting.
Right.
So, it's one of those things.
Marvel clearly had planned to do the universe. That was their end game right from the get-go.
If Iron Man hadn't been successful, if it hadn't been for Iron Man being as successful as it was, they would have never been able to have gone down that path.
Right, but I guess what I was getting at was that I think what a lot of people are sort of stipulating is that other than the Christopher Nolan stuff, the DC films haven't gotten a good response, especially, and not a total, mind you. Wonder Woman did very well.
Right. But Aquaman did well as well. Yeah.
But when you compare them in terms of character development and story, a lot of people feel like that sometimes substance gets lost while they're working on the Flash and all the cool looking stuff and the graphics. Right. And that maybe what's happening now is they're seeing a moment of weakness. They're like, Marvel's, they wrap things up on Endgame, and now they're kind of like they're in a down period. We all know Marvel's not struggling, but if you're going to strike, now's the time to strike. And they're trying to buy up the minds, the people that really have that creative spark and can tell better stories and getting them involved.
J.J. Abrams is one of those guys.
Abrams, I mean, he's almost become he's like the guy. If you're trying to bring something back, right? Something that was insanely popular and you want to bring it back, J.J. Abrams is the guy at this point, right now anyway.
For sure.
So I'm thinking it's positive because I feel like there's a lot of great stuff in the DC catalog that I'd like to see get a proper shake.
Well, and we're getting a Harley Quinn movie coming out in February. Yep, The Birds of Prey, which has some of the supporting characters. Wonder Woman 84 coming out next year, I believe.
Cool poster.
So I mean, there's a lot of really positive stuff that DC is doing. I think once they stopped trying to universe build like what Marvel had already done, and just find the characters that work and tell good stories with them. I mean, even the Shazam movie, and I don't care that much about the Shazam character, but it was a charming as hell movie. Like, just focus on the movie you're making and don't think about a bigger picture than that. I think that's why Wonder Woman and Aquaman were both successful, was that they were very self-contained and they were true to what they set out to be, and they were both entertaining as hell. I really dug the Aquaman movie just from that just entertained me.
We might as well do this. Yeah. So let's Aquaman. Do you want to do A through F, or you want to do 1 through 10?
We can do grades, I guess.
Grades. Okay. Yeah. So what do you give Aquaman?
I only saw it once in theaters, but I definitely walked out feeling like it was an A.
Okay, Kat?
I mean, Jason Momoa by himself is just a charm factory, and it's like that is nowhere near the Aquaman of my childhood.
Yeah.
But he made it work. He totally made it work. Yeah.
Kat?
I don't know if I would give it well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if I would give it an A. I think I'm more inclined towards the C, a C grade.
Oh, okay.
C? Yeah. Well, it was a C-word movie, so.
I would agree that it was like a C plus B minus kind of realm, but in my head, it was actually a lot better than I expected for Aquaman, because I'm thinking like you, Jeff. I think Aquaman. I'm thinking like the silly Aquaman. Jason Momoa killed it, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And I will say that too. Like, I was going in with low expectations because everybody's like, he's such a great actor, and I'm like, dude, he didn't even speak like a real language in Game of Thrones.
Right.
We can't, and he was in it for like this long, you know. So it was like, is he gonna be campy in this? Is he gonna be like silly and goofy? Like, I didn't know what direction the movie was gonna go in.
Right.
And then I feared that all the best parts were in the trailers that they were showing.
Right.
It was definitely better than I expected, but it's still kind of, there were certain things that I was like, meh.
That for me, I didn't believe the relationship between he and the leading female. That was actually one of the things that I felt was not. It just didn't. I didn't buy it.
Right.
She was great, and one of the things, and I would love, like, people who are listening, you can trash on me all you want, but something I noticed that I thought was a little odd and I didn't care for was that they had very much like cinematic music, great cinematic music for everybody else. You know, Jason Momoa was fighting and punching, and then she would get into a fight kind of on her own, and all of a sudden this like chick rock would come on.
Oh, I didn't even notice that because I didn't like
Totally
her.
I thought that was weird. I liked her. I just didn't believe their relationship, and I didn't know why they gave her chick rock music. I was like, it took me out. Actually, it distracted me for a second.
I didn't even notice that.
Wonder Woman grades.
Yeah, I mean, go Kat.
No, I was gonna say Wonder Woman.
I feel like you're about to make some people really mad.
We are about to make some people
No, I think you are.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna make some people mad. So
what is this we shit?
We're not in this together. Come on, guys.
No. You see, you're here and the bus is coming, and
it's so coming.
We're gonna animate it on that green screen.
Just have the bus come my way. So I'm gonna give this a C-.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I liked the story. I don't mind Gal Gadot's acting. I don't mind it.
I don't mind
it.
I'll let it pass.
It's mad again. I don't know. It just wasn't believable for me that she was Wonder Woman. So for me, Wonder Woman is this Amazonian, almost borderline conceited, tough woman. She knows who she is. And this Wonder Woman kind of felt like held back a little bit. She wasn't like in your face, like, I am Wonder Woman, hear me roar, you puny man. You know what I mean?
But wasn't she like that in the Batman v Superman movie?
Yes.
Yet Wonder Woman was the prequel that showed you her beginnings. I think in Wonder Woman 84, you're going to get what you're asking for. It's a progression.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping for. But she's always been, I don't know, with this movie, for me, it just felt kind of held back when they had the opportunity to, just let her go, let her be her. You know what I mean? Instead of giving me the progression, just most of these people that are going to the movies know about Wonder Woman. And now I'm not saying for it to go verbatim with the comics, because obviously that's being unrealistic. It's more of just like, let her be her, kind of like in Justice League, when the opening scenes, she's running faster than the Flash to stop these bullets. And I'm like, since when does Wonder Woman do that?
I don't know what I mean?
They're in the bank, and she's running, stopping these bullets. And I'm
I think I just mentally erased the Justice League and the Batman versus Superman movies. I don't even think about. But Jeff, what would you give Wonder Woman as a grade?
I mean, I'm going to give it a B. I think the end of it was. I think it was it was a very deliberate movie in what it was setting out to do. There were executives at Warner's who said, that scene in the middle of the movie when she's crossing no man's land, do we need that?
Right.
That there were people who didn't get the importance of why that scene was in the movie. But they were also the same execs who were like, well, at the end, she has to fight the big bad, and it's all CGI. Yeah. That's just the formula. And it feels like the end of it was too much of a formula. I had a friend of mine who
I would agree with that.
He saw it, and he said, the perfect ending to that movie was that once she realizes that the other guy is Ares, the god of war, and he confronts her and says, I've already won. This is inevitable. You really can't stop me. Even if you stop me, you're not going to stop me, because the human race is doomed to repeat its errors.
Right.
It would have been a stronger movie if, instead of having a CGI fight with him, if she had lost. he was right.
Right.
And he walks away because he's
Right.
like, I'm a god, you're immortal. There's no point in us fighting. I won. My point has been proven that man cannot be trusted. And that's why if you go back to the Batman v Superman, when it's like, well, where has she been for 100 years? That's why she imposed herself into this exile and nobody knew where she was, is because this one true mission that she went on first thing was a failure. And I thought that's a stronger ending than what they wound up doing. They caved into the Hollywood sensibilities, which people are getting tired of. I think people are getting tired of these overblown Transformers movie effect fights.
Yeah,
and that's the only reason I give it a B, is because I think it failed on that level.
I would agree. I give it a B, maybe even a B plus. I haven't really watched it in a while, but B is, I think, a solid grade.
Yeah.
The end to me really 100%. Everything you said, it was predictable. We'd seen it 100 times. Give me the Logan ending. Give me that more cinematic. I think people miss that human interest part of these movies because they're superheroes and they're gods, and it's like, she failed. She loses the love of her life. She can kill Ares. I mean, he'll probably come back, but
it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter what she does. His philosophy is still going to win.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah. But here's the thing that I'll put out there just for the world to consider. The Marvel movies, because they are a large collection of movies that lead to certain touch points where it's like, oh, these movies all culminate in this storyline, which leads to, of course, the Infinity War and the Endgame. And so everybody looks at it and goes, whoa, look at the big picture, and it all works, and it's all genius. But I will tell you that if you go back and look at each of those movies one at a time, and you evaluate them on their own merits, a lot of them are not great movies. People are misleadingly nostalgic about those movies because of the end results that they get after all the stories are told. But some of those movies, hey, look, I would rather watch Aquaman over and over again than 2/3 of the Thor movies.
Okay,
I'll give you that.
I think
I'll kind of give you that.
and quite honestly, you can go down the list. Why does Marvel pretend like the Hulk movie is not one of theirs? Because it is. They're trying to deny it, but that's one of the Marvel movies. Tony Stark shows up in the end credits of the Hulk movie.
Yeah.
And so it's a true part of that Marvel tapestry, but they tend to ignore it. I think Doctor Strange was very fun, but I saw it once and I have no reason to want to see it again.
I didn't really like Doctor Strange.
I liked it. I would say it's more on the B- side.
Yeah.
There's a lot I liked about it, but it was a movie I felt like we had seen before. And I know that you're trying to tell the comic origin story, but you could work it differently. So Thor Ragnarok is awesome. I love that one. To me, that's like an A+ movie. It's just fun. I'll watch it over and over. I pretend Dark World doesn't exist.
Well, see, but there you go. But see, Dark World, and it was written by the same guys that wrote Endgame, which is why, of course, they revisit Dark World in there as if to say, to the fans who hated Dark World. But no, I think people give a lot of those movies a pass because they're little blocks on the way to the next movie, and so you forget very quickly which ones are kind of substandard and subpar. I know people like. I'll never figure out why everybody is still in love with Paul Rudd. He has one thing he does, and that's all he does. He's Paul Rudd in everything, and I could give a shit about Ant-Man and Wasp movie. And the first Ant-Man movie was fine, but it was just like, come on. It's like this movie really doesn't need to exist for the Marvel Universe to work. So
it didn't. To me, Ant-Man has like nothing to do with the Marvel Universe, really. A rat runs over his thing and brings him back. And one of the actors even said, one of the actors who's not in Endgame, and I don't remember which one. I don't remember if it was Louise or one of the other guys, but somebody had said, they're like, you had a rat. Like, why didn't you just have one of us make an appearance? Like, we're going through his stuff and we accidentally hit the button instead of a freaking rat. And I agree with that. But
Yeah.
I like Ant-Man. I was like ready to really dislike that movie. And I like Ant-Man and Wasp, but I don't consider them part of the universe.
No, I don't.
Fine. They're
And
fine,
Iron
but
Man
they're
2
not
and
great.
3 are like, I mean, let's be
Yeah.
honest. Iron Man 1 is amazing, and then 2 and 3 are like...
Well, yeah, Iron Man 2 is bad. I think Iron Man 3 is a better movie than most people give it credit for, though. And most people complain that he spends more of the movie out of the suit than in it. But I'm like, that's why it's a better movie. It's an actual. It actually focuses on the character and not the action.
Yeah.
And I think people kind of piss on it because, like, oh, we just want to see more of those things blowing up. You know,
right?
Like, no,
I get that. My problem with Iron Man 3 was like he has all these Iron Man suits and he waits until like the last second to use them, and the whole time that's a huge plot hole to me.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he was kind of in a dark mental place where he was not going to use the suits again. He was going to try to shut everything down.
I do think you're right about like fans are looking at the Marvel films through rose-colored glasses because there's that kind of like, oh, but it got me to this point and to this point. But when I think back, I think Iron Man 2 and 3 don't matter. They didn't matter to me. They don't seem to really matter to the universe. I feel like you could have written right around that. Same
the
thing
majority
with
of them
Thor.
don't.
Yeah.
Most of the fans coming out of Endgame, if you had held out $100 to anyone walking out the door and said, "Give me the plot of," and you can choose between Thor: Dark World or the Hulk or I don't know, Doctor Strange. Give me the plot in detail, and I'll give you $100. They couldn't do it because those movies don't actually matter.
That is not a quiz or a trivia question.
No.
Oh, calm down. We're not giving you $100.
If you stood outside, but that movie's already out of the theaters now. So,
but we have stuff to give away.
I feel like the JJ thing though, so we're thumbs up on JJ.
Yeah, I do.
I think the Suicide Squad movie from James Gunn is going to be pretty badass too.
I'm hoping my little hope of hearts because that first one. The first one to me, you could have just I would have looked at it and said, let's scrap 98% of it and let's go just make the Harley Quinn Joker movie and lead us up to the Harley and Poison Ivy movie because that's what I think everyone really actually wants.
Well, the setup, the first 30 minutes of the Suicide Squad movie that we got was great, and then it went off in this weird direction of like, oh, we're going to fight a universe-ending calamity with the secret parts of the DC universe. The secret character is going to fight a thing that's going to eat the universe, and Superman, Batman, none of these guys are around.
Show up. Yeah.
Show up.
Where were
and I'm
they?
like, no. The Suicide Squad's got to be small. They've got to be like overthrowing the government of another country because Lex Luthor has bought out that government or something. You know, that's what they've got to be doing.
I have a theory that we're going to see Lex Luthor come back, and instead of bald, he's going to have orange hair and an orange kind of tan. And
hey, there's Jack. Here's a great thing. Yes, there was that Lex Luthor unauthorized biography book that came out in the 90s that the cover artist is doing a parody of Trump's book, Art of the Deal. And if you look up the covers of Art of the Deal and the unauthorized biography of Lex Luthor and put them side by side, you'll see what I'm talking about. So DC Comics and the people who are behind comic books have been warning us for 30 years about Donald Trump and Lex Luthor being essentially the same cat. Except I think Luthor is actually smart, and at one point wasn't he like a scientist and stuff? So
yeah, he's
like a genius.
He's a smart cat.
Okay, so I'm the best genius there is. All right, believe me. I'm Lex Luthor. I got better hair. Yeah, sorry. I used to do political radio. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think somebody should do a mashup of Trump doing the okay thing with Joe Pesci from Lethal Weapon.
Oh my God!
Yeah, show those again, Jack.
Okay.
Put those up there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't. Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I was totally unaware.
Yep. And I think that Luthor book is from maybe 1990. I don't know. So strange but true. Look at, even the fonts, even the fonts they use.
That's so creepy.
Yeah. And both of them are bald.
Just one of them's able to carry it with pride. You know?
I mean, if you were to get rid of Trump's 3 hairs that are like 30 feet long a piece that he wraps around, he would look like Luthor now. Yeah, that's what he would look like.
It's so creepy.
I think we really freaked Kat out a little bit.
I mean, can you blame
it freaks everybody out.
I'm freaked out for several reasons, okay? Trump is my boogeyman, all right? Like, that's like the nightmares that they tell little Hispanic kids.
Yeah.
So Trump is my boogeyman. So every time I see him, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, you know.
The Trump is coming to get you. The Trump is coming to get you.
Yeah. It's so not funny. But
it is. Because it's true. It's funny because it's true. Like,
that's not funny. That's not, you would think that a guy who was technically orange would not have a problem with brown people, but
I mean, he does.
He does.
I fear for my life every day.
Yeah. No, I think his problem isn't like black, white, or brown. I think it's green, and if you don't have enough green, he doesn't care.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
True story.
Well,
and we're not talking about Brainiac. So, but anyway, enough about politics. What else do we got to cover? That's about it, right? I think we're
I mean, so I will do the shameless promotion. If you are not already involved, we highly suggest, obviously, I mean, I think it's worthwhile doing, but go sign up. You can go to issueswithshow.com and you can sign up for our newsletter, which let's see here. I will do a quick.
Right here.
I love that you tried to model it. Like nothing's on screen, but you're modeling it in.
Well, now you can take a picture.
What is she seeing over there? There
issues.
So our newsletter comes out every week, as you can see, and kind of breaks down what we're going to be talking about. This week we're talking about who's dying, who died, who might die. But you can also get
Suicide Squad. That's right, Suicide Squad relaunching with issue #1, and they promise they're killing people.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah. One of the things we talked about is people are always killing people. So do we really care? Do we trust it? But the big thing, I guess, with this particular announcement is that they're saying for sure fan favorite staples of the Suicide Squad will be dying or dead. But yeah, go to
the book called The Suicide Squad. Somebody better be dying. Right?
Yeah, that's one of the things I thought was kind of funny, right? Is after all this time, they're like, someone's finally going to die. And it's like, well, you're called the Suicide Squad. So aren't you behind?
It's like the TV show Homicide: Life on the Streets. Every episode, somebody from the streets killed somebody. Every episode. It was right there in the title, Homicide: Life on the Streets. And if they hadn't, it's not like they had an episode where they're like, well, we're gonna go down into the suburbs and see if we can find somebody who is day trading illegally with Martha Stewart. There was never an episode of that show. Never an episode of that show that was like that. So yeah.
If you want to see that episode, email us at issueswithshow.com. info@issueswithshow.com. No, but with our newsletter, if you sign up, just by signing up, you have a chance to win things.
Yep.
And of course, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Blah blah blah.
Hit that like button.
Share.
Subscribe. Get notifications.
Your mother told you to share, and you should share this video. Share this episode.
We are shareable.
If you love what you see, tell your friends. If you hate what you see, tell your enemies.
I can't really I can't present downwards.
I know. Wait. Hold on. I'll figure this out. How about there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
No, wrong way.
We got book bags. We've got T-shirts. By the way, we have some people who I think this lights up. Is it? Yep.
Does it light up? Can I win it?
No.
Oh.
If you enter the random sharing or drawing, just share it. Yes.
So we've got T-shirts, with DC Marvel stuff. We've got Punisher shirts. One of the things I'm really excited about is we have a bunch of these bad boys, which we're going to start giving away. I think, actually, you know what? We should probably give one of these away this time.
Ooh.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
That's
And we have
cool.
a bunch of these, guys. We have
Gobble, gobble, gobble.
we have Mr. Gabi here. We've got, literally, we've got a whole bunch of crap. And it's not crap, it's awesome stuff.
That's right.
But we're going to be giving more and more away. I think, Jeff, we had even talked about doing a local event in Charlotte at the Heroes Aren't Hard to Find, because some of this stuff is too big we don't want to ship it, and we don't want it to get broken.
Right. And
so,
yeah, I definitely think we're gonna have to find a way. Like the big framed poster is gonna be crazy to ship, so it's gonna have to be a live event that we do. We do have a ton of stuff there.
I'm not gonna try to hold it up, but we literally have a movie-sized poster of the Incredible Hulk. Is it 180 or 181? It's the cover 181.
181,
with the appearance of Wolverine on it, framed glass. It's beautiful. We have like 8 posters we're giving away. So, Dimitri, we see you. You've got a bunch of stuff coming. Actually, I just bought a bunch of boxes, little
ready to ship
boxes for posters and books because we got stuff going out. Ship it.
Ship it.
So always, feel free to message us. You can find us at issueswithshow.com to get more info on the actual show. For those of you who don't know, there's a whole show where we interview some of the biggest names in the industry. We have some people already booked, which we will put some of it on the website. But for the breakdown, you will see like October 2nd, we have Bobby from Universe Retro coming on. And we actually have actors from some of your favorite Marvel shows that are booked to come on. I believe Jeremy Whitley is going to be coming on. He couldn't make it this week. We've had some scheduling with people that we're shifting around. But
yep.
I don't know many shows that literally took part of their show budget and we just like cut part of it off and we're like, we're just going to buy like
stuff to give away.
$1,000 worth of stuff to give away. Yeah.
Well, and I have a little bit of an announcement that might sort of affect the folks out here in Issues with Land. We're a couple of days away from launching a Kickstarter for a comic book series that I wrote, or it's a one-shot comic book that I wrote based on a stage play that I co-wrote with someone. It is The Adventures of Young Robin Hood, and it is an all-ages comic book. It's aimed primarily at school-age kids, and one of the things that we're doing with the Kickstarter when we launch it is that we've decided that for every person who pledges to purchase an actual issue, whether digital or physical copy in the Kickstarter, we will match every purchase with a physical copy that we will donate to a local public school, classroom, or library. And there are going to be categories in the Kickstarter where you can actually buy enough books for an entire classroom, and we will make sure that the classroom gets them. So this is becoming, we hope, this very big give back to the schools and give to kids education sort of thing. It's like I said, it's a very family-friendly, kid-friendly story dealing with kind of morality and issues, and there's a lot of history, kind of the medieval period and so forth. So we're putting a little study guide in the back of the book. The book is done. It's ready to go. We're getting ready to start the Kickstarter within hopefully the next couple of days.
I know, I'm excited.
It'll run for about a month, and then we're going to. So here's kind of the deal: is that we here where we are will distribute books to the local schools within 1 or 2 counties of where we are. But if people want to buy, if they want to pledge in some of those categories, we'll ship the books to them, and they can take them to their local schools.
I did not know that. That's exciting.
Yeah. So we're trying to spread this around and get it going. It's all for education. It's fundraiser-ish, but it's kind of a unique thing because there's something physical that people get, and we may incentivize maybe some of our issues with people if they jump on board and share some of this and help spread the word on this. They'll be entered into a drawing and they'll get some really cool stuff. We've got a great artist on the book who can do original sketches. Can do lots of original pieces. We also have comic book artist Mark Probst, who is doing a variant cover and a couple of art prints for us. So we'll have some really cool giveaways, including some original art and so forth, that we'll make available to the people who follow us here. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be pretty exciting. I'm really pumped about it.
For you.
This is one of those things, like, I don't know how many people have been necessarily paying attention to on Facebook, but it's like, Jeff, we've been talking about this for what, years?
Almost a year, yeah.
Yeah.
We started working on this project last December, so yeah.
I'm so excited to see it come out, man. You guys have been working so hard.
Yeah, well, it's a first-time comic book artist too, and he's like 20 years old, very young, first-time artist. So it took him longer to do it.
Yeah, cool cat.
Really, but it took him longer to do it because he wanted to make sure it was perfect, and so we thought, hey, we're not going to rush him. We're going to do this the right way, and when we get it done, we'll start the Kickstarter. And I think this is great because now we'll be able to deliver books by Christmas, and we'll start delivering to schools on January 1st. So
that's exciting.
We'll next semester with hopefully, our goal would be great if we could get 500 people to pledge and match that with 500 comics that we take to local schools, because that's a lot of books that we'll put in kids' hands.
Because comics are a gateway drug. They lead to reading.
Yes.
It does, 100%.
And the first one is free. So there you go. That's what we're doing. Yeah, the first one's free. So.
I need my comics, man. Just give me a taste.
Yeah.
Just let me look at the cover.
But anyway, people can follow that. By next week, I should have an update on the launch of the campaign. By next week, hopefully, we'll be like 3 or 4 days into the campaign.
Yeah, and guys, again, you can find us on Facebook at Issues With, and Instagram for all the updates on that stuff. And Master Stroke, of course, is Jeff's company, where there will be more promotions going on for that. And there should hopefully be a website soon. So for those of, if you're having trouble keeping up, I don't blame you.
Well, we do it all. We don't do it well, but we don't do everything well, but we do a little bit of everything. So.
But yeah, Issues With isn't just a show. I mean, Jeff's got his own company publishing stuff, and the show's giving away things, and Master Stroke's giving away things, and this isn't just about fans sitting around and geeking out over comics. Although we do that, I mean,
this is a way of life, people.
Oh yes, look at that! Look at that! Look at that!
But it's about more than that. Yeah, it's about drawing the community together. If you follow our Instagram, one of the big things on the Instagram is we try to reveal little tidbits of information about the artists that you may not have known. That's one of the things that really inspired us to do the show, is that we're trying to connect people to these artists like Han that did the Adventures of Young Robin Hood. These are real people with lives and complications. And
I'll tell you something too, Jack. Let me kind of interrupt. One of the reasons that, and I didn't do this until a couple of days ago, and it dawned on me to do this with I was putting together the final stages of the Kickstarter, and there is a comic book artist out there, the guy Mark Probst. He's worked on a number of books over the years. Big time inker artist, really talented guy. A few years ago, he had some health issues and medical bills and those sorts of things, and he is literally living paycheck to paycheck, art project to art project.
Yeah.
The threat of having his internet and his electricity cut off almost every month. He's doing eBay to sell art prints. He's doing eBay to sell original art, and he's just barely scraping by. And I was sitting there thinking about the Robin Hood project, and I was like, we need another, like a variant cover. We need another piece of art. We need something else just to sweeten the pot. And I was like, holy shit, I'm going to reach out to this guy and throw him some work. All right. Hey, I'm going to pay you, because he's out there soliciting commissions right now to try and make his bills. He's doing these incredible pieces and charging 1/5 of what he should be charging for them, because he just needs the money. And so I messaged him and I was like, hey, look, will you do a couple of pieces for Robin Hood? We'll put them in the project. We'll make sure that you get a percentage of the back end of anything that sells of your pieces. We'll promote your stuff. We're going to pay him up front for the work, plus we'll incentivize the back end of it. But it's like, this was the Robin Hood thing where I was like, this is the right thing to do, is help this guy, because he does fantastic artwork. And why wouldn't we want him to do a piece for us? Or in this case, 2 pieces he's going to do for us. So it's there to help him as he's going through his struggles right now. And what Jack said is absolutely right. This is about the real people who make the comics that you love, you know, and they are real people. And sometimes there are some struggles and, you know, there's a lot of issues that go on, not, you know, issues with, but
we're all puns tonight.
That's a branding. It's all about branding.
It's the pun
but
show.
But there's a lot of humanity behind it, and we want to humanize it as much as possible. And that's why the interviews, when people finally get to see the interviews that we did, there's a lot of intimate conversations that happen, a lot of real conversations that happen, a lot of fun conversations that happen. But we learn about these people.
These are real people. And one of the things I will say is we started this is I came from, I mean, I've been producing and working in the entertainment industry for whatever, 20 years. And I've always really been a comic book fan as a kid and everything. And, you know, Jeff, really, as we started working on this, one of the things that blew my mind was kind of that you revealed to me my own odd perception of that these comics you buy, and you see that little name, you know, it's like you always catch that little name somewhere on the comic. And you don't really think about it, but these are real people, and they're not necessarily rich or famous.
Yeah.
You know,
right?
And so they have, you know, their own origin stories, their own battles that they're going through, and it's amazing to me how often I think the fans have taken that for granted. That we start to assume things about them, and we're not necessarily supporting these artists and these creators who are giving you so much. And we'll have to do a whole other episode sometime.
Oh, sure.
One of the things that the artists
the
talk a lot
companies
about
are failing them too, and the fans are the ones who can support them, and the fans are the ones who can make the difference. Yeah, that's totally. And that's part of why we're doing this. I mean, honestly, if you dig down to the core of why we're doing this, that's it. All right. And once again, guys, we completely screwed the pooch and did not get it done in 30 minutes. 30 minutes or less. The Domino's theory says that we owe them free pizza now. I don't know how that works, right? 30 minutes. All right, guys. Thank you. Issues with. Go check it out. All the good stuff. Share this for a chance to win, and we'll see you next time.